Hello and welcome to another video. Now I don't know the response to the last video because I've not posted that one yet, so I'm trying to get my head myself, because hopefully when you're watching this I'm away or just come back, so we'll see how we go. It may all get mucked up, but we're going to try this. But again, thank you for all the subscribers and all those that have hit the like button. Now, when you watch my videos and you hit that like button after watching them, it means so much to see that those likes going up. It just fills me with a bit more confidence to carry on doing this. And your comments have just been brilliant, and you're also supportive with the Buy Me a Coffee memberships and super thanks. I can't ask much more of you, and subscribers are slowly going up. We're getting there. But today, time slip. I know some of you do want me doing time slips, but this is a good one. So this one has been covered in books a lot, and I mean quite a lot. But the research that went back into it around about 1955 come up with some, not explanations, but even bigger questions than they did come up with answers. So we're going to get into this. And this is Buckfastleigh in Devon. Now, it's only down like the southeast corner of Dartmoor. And we know Dartmoor has got this crazy history about beasts and all that, but you know, Dartmoor has got its own history. Buckfastleigh isn't far behind on that. There are ghost stories around the village and the town, and so back in the 1920s there was this ghost maybe around the churchyard. Maybe that's something we can cover in another video. Okay, the first problem we need to talk about in this video is that the time frame. We don't know what period of time it was, and that brings up a lot of questions about what they see and all this sort of stuff. But it's anywhere between 1925 and 1949. We know it's in the first half of the 20th century, but it does come up. It gives us a little bit of problem with trying to fix roads and what was going on in that village and that town in that period. What we have is a group of people going out on a shooting party. Now this is three elderly men, the father of these three girls and the three girls themselves. Now we don't particularly know the age of these girls neither, but it's believed they were around about 15-16 years of age. These three girls are very happy to be going out on this shooting party. They leave Buckfastleigh around about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. They head up towards Dartmoor, and they're having a decent shoot, and they're walking around, they're collecting all the pheasants and the birds that are being shot. They put them to the back of the jeep and they carry on following the hunt. After a period of time they get a little bit bored of this, and they ask their father if they can actually go off and explore. Now where they are, they've got these really big thick woods around the area, and the father said, well yeah, you know the area well enough, and you just meet us back down in the bottom field. Now when we say the bottom field, this is where we get this trying to pinpoint this location. Now we believe that this is a field just down by Wolford Road. Now this was like just by Buckfastleigh and not far from actually where they lived. So the girls knew that area well. Now these three girls are having a great time walking through the woods when they spot a deer. They decide they're going to follow this deer into the woods. They go deeper and deeper into the woods. When it starts getting a little bit darker, they realise and start panicking that they can't actually work their way back out of those woods. Now they are worrying that they've become separated from where their father is on the hunting party. After about another hour they still can't find themselves out of this woods, and by this time it's actually pitch black, and they were very, very scared being in these woods on their own, and they start hearing all these creepy sounds and imagining footsteps and all this sort of stuff that would go through young people's minds when they're lost in the wood of a night time, and they start panicking. But after about 2 hours they stumble across a road, and they start following this road back down south. They're assuming that it's going to lead them back to Buckfastleigh. After another hour they've not seen anything along that road. They start panicking. Also what they noticed was that it had been quite a blustery day and the wind stopped, but at the same time the silence that fell over the area was deafening. This reminds me of the Kersey time slip, where everything just went dead quiet, and the bells stopped, and the birds stopped singing, and the trees changed. We don't have no trees changing colour in this one, but we wouldn't know because it was dark. But these girls are now really, really terrified. They're walking down this road. They later said that they believed this road was Merrifield Road. Now along Merrifield Road there are some houses. But they'd been walking for quite some time down this road and they hadn't seen any of them. Then they started seeing this little glow further in the distance, and they're hoping that at last they've found somewhere they can go and get help. They head towards this light, and when they've just round the corner, they notice this beautiful picturesque cottage just set back off of the road. They walk up to the windows, they look through, and they see an elderly man in there, an elderly lady in there, a big open fire, all the windows were nicely lit, and they start knocking on the door. And they've been ignored. No one is coming to the door. They're looking through the window and they're banging on the window trying to get their attention, and again they just get ignored. And again the old lady and the old man take no notice of them at the window. They're getting quite annoyed by this, and the girl goes up and bangs loudly on the door. As she does so, all the lights in the house turn off. The man and lady in the living room vanish, then the whole building vanishes, and then the fire vanishes. They're left there standing by this road with nothing around them, just an open area of grass where this cottage used to be. This absolutely petrifies these girls. All three of them are in tears. They carry on walking down the road. After about another half an hour, these lights come towards them, and it turns out it was their father that had come out to try and find them, and there'd been a big search party going out to try and hunt these children down. They get into the vehicle, they tell their dad what had happened. The dad drove back up the road to see where this house was, and of course there was nothing there. They get home and they're sort of accused of making this up, that it was a fabrication to explain why they weren't back, and they calls the words were kerfuffle about them going missing, and they were embellishing their story not to get into trouble. We'd have some sort of credence if other reports and events that happen didn't happen. Over the next few days, the girls were questioned again and again about what they reported, and they were taken to the Valiant Soldier. Now the Valiant Soldier is an historic pub in Buckfastleigh, and I think it was 1700s or 1800s that it was built, and it shut in 1966, so we know that this event didn't happen before that, and I believe now that the pub is a museum that you can go into. But they were taken to almost a town's meeting in that pub, where they was asked questions to describe exactly what they saw. And again, they went through the description of the cottage, this very picturesque cottage with a fencing around the outside, this beautiful stonework on the front of the building, this gorgeous little fireplace in the middle of the living room, and this elderly gentleman and this elderly lady just standing there. This elderly couple didn't actually move. Didn't matter how loud they banged on the window or on the door, that this couple were just frozen. One of the other sisters turns around and said that she noticed that the flames in the fire also didn't move, that they looked static, which is something she didn't mention the first time that she spoke to her father about it. This raised more questions than answers. People started accusing them of even more embellishing upon their story. Over the period of the next few weeks, the girls and the dad often drive up this road to try and identify where this building was. Now, being in the daylight, everything looked completely different from the night time. And the dad said this is where he parked the car up, where the girls got in, and they made him go up the road to where they believed at the time the house had been. But during the daylight, they had no clue where this house was. Now, this road was quite narrow and a lot of bushes along the side of the road, and this patch of grass that the house had been on, they couldn't even find that anymore. So they was really, really puzzled. We move forward a couple of years when a very similar event happens. We have the local mechanic and his wife driving down that road. This road comes down from Dartmoor. They come down through the woods and they come onto Merrifield Road that leads them back into Buckfastleigh. The car's driving beautifully. It's late at night and they're just heading down on a nice leisurely drive. All of a sudden the car cuts out and it literally just goes dead. Nothing is working in the car at all. It just slows down. He pulls the car over to the side of the road and he gets out. Being a mechanic, he thinks he can just have a look and fix it and they'll be on their way within minutes. He gets out the car and he's working on it, but no matter what he tries, that car is just dead. Nothing is starting on that car at all. He can't even get the lights to work. He looks up And for the first time, he notices that they've actually stopped outside a cottage. Now you know what's coming, this is a time slip video. He looks over there, and again he describes this picturesque cottage. His wife gets out of the car, she goes up and knocks on the door. They get no answer. The husband moves round and looks through the window. He describes again this elderly couple standing in the living room with this really lovely fire going in the fireplace. Again, he taps on the window, expects them to turn around, and again they get no response. The wife knocks loudly on the door again, and he says that this couple do not move. They don't flinch. And just like what the three girls reported, they said this cottage, right in front of their own eyes, vanished. This time they're left standing on a muddy bit of ground. They don't know what to make of it. They're looking at each other, going, are we going crazy? The wife, like the children, was in tears. This has scared the life out of her. He goes back to the car. Again, he tries to start it. This time that car starts as if there's nothing wrong with it. And he checks that car over the next few days, and that car never breaks down. And that problem with the car never happens again. They are dumbfounded of what has happened to them. They start talking to other people and saying, you ain't gonna believe what happened to me, you ain't gonna happen to me. And they said, you need to speak to this gentleman. His daughters reported the same thing years ago. And that's what he does. He meets up with the father of these three girls and tells him the story. This is the first time the father actually believed what had happened. Now, the father contacted the Psychic Research Society and asked them to come down and investigate. They sent down 2 investigators, and they went up and looked all along that road to try and find anything. Now, one of those investigators brought a medium with them that she was connecting to an elderly couple that had lost their lives on that road, but wasn't picking up anything to do with an old cottage. Over a period of time, more people come down to investigate it, and one of those was Mr. Rickard. Now, he came down and interviewed a lot of people in that village to see if they could dig up any history of what this cottage could be. And they had a limited success, but it did lead to more people in the town researching after they left. What the residents of that town believed was that in 1650 there was a cottage along that road that had burnt down, and a couple had passed away in that fire. The only problem that we have is that the people that see this cottage described all the lights being on. They didn't describe it as candlelight. Now, they said it was beautifully lit. That could mean that is candles, but I would have probably thought maybe gas lighting or something like that. Something that certainly wasn't around back then when this cottage was meant to burn down. So I'm confused with that sort of bit of information. But looking at old maps, there are certain signs of evidence that there was old cottages along that road. Now, bizarrely, in 1974, a car crash happened along that road. And the people in that car crash turned around and said that they were helped by 2 elderly people that come out of a cottage on the side of the road. Yet when I went back to thank them a few days after the accident, they couldn't find that cottage. I'm not saying that it's the same cottage, but it did make it into other reports about this story. So I thought I'd better add it in there in case one of you in the comments have seen this story before and mention it, and other people think I've missed something out. I guess it adds a little bit of credibility to the whole story that even in the 70s that this little cottage is appearing and disappearing. It does open up that question of what are time slips? Now, we go through this and there are so many. I know you'll talk about the Liverpool time slip, and I do kick myself. I say something was going on in that street when I went up there, and I didn't feel like I wanted to go down and film it at the time, but also most people want to go back to Liverpool and film again. So I don't know where I've been. I might have been there by now. I don't know. I'm in my own little time slip doing this video. So yeah, I might have been up there and filmed it. But yeah, time slips for me are really puzzling. There's also no doubt in my mind that some of these reports are completely made up. completely just uses a story to entertain other people. Others may be used as an excuse of why people got lost. But the thing is with time slips, you never know if you've seen one. Now, as many of you pointed out, when I was up at Kersey and I was saying I was driving through all these picturesque little villages on the way there, how do I know they weren't time slips and they don't exist? It is an interesting question, and there are places that I've been to in my life that I can never find again. Now, I remember when I was younger, I went to a witchcraft museum with my mum and dad in Falmouth or Weymouth area, and I've never been able to find that witchcraft museum there again. I've looked over all the maps, can't find it. It is there. Everything tells me that it weren't anything weird, but it does show that sometimes you visit somewhere and you can never find that place again. Or you describe a place to someone and they try to find it and they have no luck in finding it. But you're like, no, I'm sure you just go around that bend and it's there on the right, and no, they can't ever find it. I remember describing this really beautiful pub I've been to up in Norfolk to a friend and told them you've got to go there. And they were there, they phoned me up going, I can't find this pub. And I'm like, well, it is there. And when I went back to Norfolk, I found that pub right away. So again, there are things in life where we see things, we've experienced it, but you tell other people and they can never find it. Or that you've experienced something and then you go back and you can never find it again. But this one, adding the fact that there are these maps that show old buildings along that road, and the report of this fire where 2 elderly people passed away. I'm going to have a really red eye now. Do you ever get when all of a sudden you get like a really sharp pain as if someone's just stuck a needle in your eyeball? Some weird things happen when I'm doing these videos. I've had gnats flying around. I've left the window open. It's sort of like, what is it, 11 o'clock at night on Sunday night. And I've got gnats flying in. I've got the stupid round YouTube light that they're all attracted to. Oh, lucky I ain't my video. I ain't just slapping all these gnats about. But yeah, time slips are really puzzling for me because, you know, as I say, you've got these maps that show this building there and the evidence that this building burnt down, and the history of the place is there as well with ghost stories and all that, and it is a confusing time slip. What I'm disappointed in is that there's no interaction, that this couple did not acknowledge these people at the door, that puts out of that true time slip story. Was this a stone tape theory? Again, I keep going back to. But with my time slip stories, I do like to see some evidence of interaction with people. I guess them knocking on a solid door does bring up that interaction in a loose term, and banging on the window brings up that interaction because it's something solid that they're dealing with. But no, one of those girls, when she said those flames weren't moving in the fireplace, that sort of like stuck something with me there. That was like, was it almost like a photograph? It wasn't a time slip. It wasn't. Was it like literally a image in time that was just frozen there, that just replays itself? And that's not a time slip, because a time slip is an interaction, a ghost story, or there's something that is replayed. But to have something static like the flames not moving in that fireplace, I actually find really creepy. I've not really come across anything like that before. I know that, you know, in time slips the smoke stopped in the chimneys, the bells stopped, the birds stopped singing. But even in Kersey, we had the stream was still running, the trickling of the stream. And we had rain going on in the other time slips. In this one, yes, we had the wind stop and the eerie quiet, but also these flames did not move in the fireplace. And I just can't get my head around that one. Now, I know this isn't the longest video I've ever put out there, but I appreciate everybody that watches my videos and everyone who puts the thumbs up, everyone who puts their notifications on. You lot and my members have supported me so much. And if you made it this far to the end of the video, you are the best. So start your comment with the best, and then we'll see how many people are the best when we do it. Now that could cause infighting. Now just start your comment with the best, and we'll see how many people watch the end of this one. Okay, well, I hope you've had a good week, and I'll see you on Tuesday with another video. Bye.